Up for review this month are the latest release from Hornby of the Mark III coach, and this time it's the Virgin Trains East Coast livery that they're presented in. The first coach on the track here is the R4750, and it's the TGS coach. Now, first of all, the model, before I go into the livery. This is an ex-Lima tooling. It matches the rest of the Hornby Mark III's quite well. There are a few minor differences that differentiate it from the Hornby releases. Is that the rim of the windows is slightly more pronounced than that of the Hornby ones. It's not that noticeable. If you put two together you can see it, but you've got to really be paying attention to pick it up. The roof ridges are slightly different in the position, and this vent here is more pronounced than on the other Mark III Hornby tooled releases. Obviously when Hornby bought over Lima they acquired the tooling. Hornby never had a TGS coach, which is the trailer guard second, which is the one which has the window alterations here. So they've obviously taken this one onto the range and made it their own. The construction of it is different as well. The windows are the same piece as the roof, so if you want to get into it, it's an absolute nightmare. These Lima ones are very hard to get into if you're putting flush glazing in or passengers and seats and stuff. So it's just constructed slightly differently. Although it was, I don't know if they've changed it. I'm not going to try and find out, to be honest. It has the tension lock couplings there. There is no NEM coupling system available on these coaches, which is their real Achilles heel. Does it matter? You could say no, it doesn't, because the train still looks good as it's going along, but it's just there's a slight bigger gap between the coaches than perhaps the Bachmann Mark II coaches, which have got closer couplings. A lot of people slate the Hornby Mark III, but you know what? They produce them by the thousands and they sell by the thousands, so they must be a reasonably good representation of the prototype. The bogies could do with a bit of an update, but again I'm linking that to the coupling system. It surely wouldn't be too big a job for the bogies and the coupling system to be retooled. It's not a major retool of the whole coach, so that's just one of my suggestions anyway. The livery itself has been done superbly by Hornby. It really has. It matches the quality of the Virgin Power cars, even down to the small details here on to show where you can put your bike. The bicycle storage. This obviously the TGS, the trailer guard second. This is where the guard would sit, as opposed to in the power cars when they were first released. These were made in the early 80s because of the noise in the power cars that the guards were complaining, so they made these coaches especially for the HSTs, for the guard to get more comfort. The orange cantrail stripe is picked out beautifully. I've got to be very careful to turn this because it's quite free spirited. It rolls off the track. The white swoosh between the kind of off-white grey and the red, the Virgin red, is really good representation as well. Actually, really well applied. Is a kind of transfer, but it's been really well done. If I'm really nitpicking here as well, the transfer at the top of the roof sometimes overlaps the black a tiny wee bit, but you know what? You're not going to notice that. The black panel in between the windows is really neatly and crisply applied. I can't really fault it, and the tinted glass really does set it off. And obviously you've got coach information at the end there. This is coach B, and you've got the white painted doors at this end, but not at the guard's end, where that's not for passenger use. These ones come with buffers fitted. You can take them off. Hornby seem to have got into the habit of releasing them with the buffers, whereas maybe 3-4 years ago they released them with buffers in a small packet that you could optionally fit them if you're going to do local hauled, or leave them off if it was HST. Again, a small point. But that's the Lima tooled, now Hornby trailer guard second coach. Let's go and have a look at the other ones in the rake. This is R4751, which is a TSO, which standard class coach, and the livery is applied as impressively as the TGS coach. The handrails here are nicely picked out, which are slightly recessed into the moulding, which is good, and these small details are picked out very crisply as well, including the door indicator, the door lock indicator. And this is coach D, so this is 4751A. There's 2 standard class coaches that have been released. And for previous releases from the Hornby, especially in the blue-grey livery, these little details here have been omitted. Well, they've not been picked out, but it's good to see that on this one that they have. So Hornby have really gone to town on getting the small details highlighted. Same fare as the TGS, tinted windows, flush glazing, superbly applied livery. Again, this one's got buffers and the same tension locks, and overhead flash warnings there, etc. Can't really fault it, other than the minor things that I talked about before. It's really been an impressive release from Hornby. Okay, so I'll quickly rattle through the next one, and then we'll go on to the final coach, which will be the Buffy coach. Right, this is the first open coach, the R4752, first class, and the differences in the livery are subtle. On the door they've got the one picked out in a kind of blue with the circle around it with first class written above it. You can just see under the window there. And you've got the twin bands running along the side of the coach, faded and then coming into a solid and then fading again towards the other red panel at the end. As per the prototype, it's a kind of purpley, lilac-y blue, which again is close to the real thing, I think, from my experience in my eyes anyway. Very well picked out. This one differs from the other ones. This has got black seating in it, as opposed to the standard class in the TGS, which have got dark red seating inside. The Hornby seating is loosely prototypical. It could maybe do with a wee bit of an update, to be honest, but then again with the tinted glass you didn't really see it, so I've not really got an issue with the interior on coaches, because if the shade of the glazing is correct, it's pretty immaterial what they look like inside, unless you've got passengers and you're going to fully light it, but it does the job. Okay, and this one being a Hornby release, the window sections at the side are separate from the roof and the side moulding, so they're a lot easier to replace the glazing if you want to, for example, an older release, replace the glazing, because the flush glazing has been in these coaches for a while, but the tinted stuff is quite new. So for example, if you bought an R4444, which was a blue-grey Mark III release about 3-4 years ago, it has the clear glazing. If you wanted to upgrade to the tinted stuff, it's quite easy to take the glazing out. That's where this kind of scores higher than the Lima version, which was a nightmare to get the glazing out. Right, let's move on to the last one, which is the Mark III. Okay, let's quickly cover the Buffy coach, which is R4753. Livery's applied in the same clean way as the other coaches. The window arrangement looks good with the panelled out windows at the top there. This one has, I'll turn around and see the other windows. This one has the 3 windows in the passenger compartment. This is a Hornby tooling, and if you look at the roof, what's made a welcome comeback to this coach is the roof vent details. On the previous release of the Mark III executive liveried Buffy coach in this configuration, it was a plain roof that apparently lost the tooling, but it seems to be a reappearance here in the recent one. I don't know whether it's a retool or it's just found the old tooling. Minor points, you can see some kind of imperfections there. There's a little wee dent on the vent there. This is not just this coach. I bought 2 Buffy cars partly by accident, and they've got the same kind of small marks on the same parts of the roof, so it's obviously a tooling issue, but it's better being there, the vents are better being there than not. Okay, so there we have the Mark III Buffy. What I'll do is I'll couple these up and we'll get some running shots. Okay. Before we let them loose on the layout, can't really do a Mark III review without mentioning the arrival of the Oxford Rail Mark III coaches, the brand new tooled ones. They are bringing out the Mark III's to start with, and they'll be moving on to the HST variants after that. I don't know when that'll be. I think there's quite a few Mark III's to, get done before they start branching out onto the Mark III's. Will they be better than this? Well, they'll have closer couplings. I'll certainly be buying some Mark IIIA coaches. They'll have NEM pockets for the couplings, and more detail around the end here. Again, it'll same flush glazing, and from what I've seen, very similar detail on the underside here and the window arrangements. There's a limit to what you can do with the Mark III. It's quite a clean, plain coach actually when you look at it in real life. What will be better? I'm sure the bogies will be better than the Hornby release, but I paid £27 for these at my local, and 3 or 4 years ago I would choked at that, but that's actually quite a bargain now because of the price increases. Oxford are a bit more expensive. For the extra detail on the Mark III's, they'll be worth it. However, my concern is, and I'm hoping I'm proved wrong, is that when they release the HST versions, will the paint colour match to the Hornby power cars? Because I can't see Oxford taking on Hornby with the HST. I think they've got a lot bigger projects to do before they get to that. Can they get the paint to match? For example, the Bachmann Rail Blue is different from the Helgen Rail Blue, and the Rail Blue from Helgen is different from the Hornby. So if you're applying it from an airbrush or a gun, slightly different temperature, slightly different distance away, it might change the effect of the paint has as a finish. I know myself airbrushing, I've painted stuff one day and gone back and touched it the next day, and you can see the difference. Will Hornby power cars match in, and vice versa? I don't know. That's what would stop me buying the HST version of the Oxford Rail. I'll certainly be buying some Mark III's, which are local hauled stock, because I'm looking forward to Hornby's latest announcement of the Class 87, which is long overdue, and I'll be certainly buying one of them for the layout whenever it comes out. I think it's in 2017, the third quarter of 2017. So it will beat the Class 90 from Bachmann to the market by a long chalk. Bachmann just seems to announce models now and don't actually bother producing any. So at least Hornby have showed you tooled examples before they announce it, which is welcome from Hornby. I know we all get into a wee bit of a Hornby bash sometimes, but at least they're doing things the right way with their releases. They're waiting until their project's developing before they announce it. Unlike Bachmann have been guilty recently of saying, well, we're making that, by the way, and then no details for 3 years. I'm still waiting on the Class 158 that was announced 4 years ago. So hopefully Hornby get the 87 to market about the same time as the Oxford Mark III's. They're both coming out in swallow livery. I'm sure they'll look stunning, but I'll continue to have my faith in the Hornby Mark III's that run with my HSTs. Any comments, any questions, please get in touch. Let me know your thoughts on the matter, and I hope you enjoy the running session that's coming up, and I'll be back with an update on the layout very soon. Cheers just now.